Hello everybody and welcome to this React tutorial. Let's have a look at what we're gonna build today. On my to-do list I've written wake up, get dressed and have a shower. Then I should really cancel some old unused subscriptions. But since I'm already awake, I'm gonna check off some things. So to get started, we're gonna make sure we have the necessary npm package manager installed. You can do this by writing the following command in the terminal. If you worked with npm previously, make sure it's up to date. To install npm, we're going to download and install Node. To make sure the installation worked correctly, you can write npm -- version to get your current version. If you don't have any good IDEs, you should probably download one. The one I use is called Visual Studio Code, and you can find a link for it in the description below. Now that we have the setup done, let's create the app. Open your terminal and type npx create React app, your project name, template TypeScript. This sets up a new React project using TypeScript. Once installed, you're ready to start building with TypeScript's benefits, like type safety and enhanced development tools. I prefer TypeScript to JavaScript since it adds static type definitions which catch errors early, improving code readability and maintainability, making development faster and more reliable. Open your newly created project and run npm start inside. This will start a local development server. Now let's open the newly created project. Navigate to your project folder and open it in your code editor. Replace the default code in app.tsx with a simple hello world message. Next, create a folder called components inside source directory. This is where we'll keep all our reusable UI components, making our project organized and easier to manage. Create a new file called todo-item.tsx. This file will define a component for individual to-do items. Next, create another file called todo-list.tsx. This file will contain a component that manages and displays a list of to-do items. Start by typing import useState from React. This will allow us to use React's state management hook to keep track of our to-do items within the component. Hooks are special functions in React that let us use state and other features in functional components. One of the most commonly used hooks is useState, which allows you to add state to your component. The useState hook is a powerful addition to React. Introduced in version 16.8, it allows you to manage state within functional components without the need for class-based components. State is like a memory for your components, enabling it to remember values between renders. Inside the to-do list function, add two div elements. The first div will have the class name todo-list, which will contain our list of to-do items. The second div will have the class name title, which we will use to display the title of our to-do list. Open app.tsx and import the to-do list component. Replace the hello world text with the to-do list component. In the to-do item file, add an interface called task to define the structure of a to-do item, typically including properties like ID, text, and completed. Then, create another interface called to-do item props to specify the properties of the to-do item component. Define the to-do item component by adding the following line. Go back to to-do list and add the same task interface you defined in to-do item. Then use the useState hook to create a state variable for the input text. This state will store the current input value, allowing us to manage the text for new to-do items. Add an input element below the title div. This input will allow users to type new to-do items. Next, we'll add a state variable to keep track of our tasks. Define a new useState within the component. This state will hold any array of tasks, allowing us to dynamically manage and display the to-do items. Add a function to handle any new tasks. In our add task function, we'll create a new task object with an ID generated by date.now, which provides a unique identifier based on the current time in milliseconds. Finally, we will update the task state with a new task by setting setTasks, which adds the new task to our existing list of tasks. Here we want to make use of the spread operator, which can be very useful. Let's look at an example. Imagine we have an array of tasks. We want to add a new task. Using the spread operator, we can create a new array that combines the existing task with this one. This is exactly what happens in our add task function when we update the state with the new task. Next, add a button in to-do list below the input field. Set its onClick event to call the add task function with the current text state. In the app.css file, the to-do list class styles the container for our to-do list. We create a function to empty the tasks and add a button that connects to this function. Now let's add a display for the numbers of pending tasks. Inside the to-do list component, below the button, add a paragraph element that shows the number of tasks if there are any. Use the logical AND operator to conditionally render this message. Next, let's add functionality to mark tasks as complete. Create a function named toggleComplete that takes an ID as an argument, allowing us to toggle tasks between complete and incomplete. Use the setTask function and map through the elements. We return a new array of the task where only the task with the matching ID has its completed status toggled. Let's add some styling to our input field. Some of these styles are straightforward, like background color and padding, others might be less familiar. You can easily look this up online to make sure you understand how it works. Let's add some interactivity and additional styling. The button changes on hover with background color red and transform scale, making it slightly larger. For a unique look, we will add a linear gradient to the add class. Now let's add functionality to delete tasks. In to-do list, create a delete task function that takes an ID as an argument. This function uses setTasks to filter out the task with a matching ID, removing it from the list. Use map to iterate over each task and render a to-do item component for each one. Pass the necessary props like task, delete task, and toggleComplete to the to-do item component. Now let's complete the to-do item component. It will handle task completion and deletion. The function handleChange calls toggleComplete with the task's ID to update the task's completed status. Display the task text and apply a completed class if the task is marked as completed. The delete button calls delete task with the task's ID to remove the task from the list. To display the current date, create a function called getCurrentDate that formats the date using toLocalDateString. Add a heading element that calls getCurrentDate to show the formatted date. Now navigate to the list to test the functionality. Notice that it works, but the to-do items have no styles yet. This is because we haven't added the CSS for the to-do item class and other related styles. Let's add some styles for our to-do items and headings. For the body tag, add a linear gradient like before. For each to-do item, we use displayFlex for a horizontal layout. Align items centrally and justify content with space between. We also add padding, a background color, a border with rounded corners, and a smooth transition. For completed tasks, completed class adds a line through text decoration and changes the text color to lighter gray. Next, style the delete button within the to-do item. The button has a red background, no border, white text, padding for spacing, and rounded corners. It transitions to a red dark on hover. Additionally, define a slide-in animation that makes items slide in from the left. Apply this animation to the to-do item class. Good job. Now we've built a functional to-do list app with React and TypeScript. Keep experimenting and enhancing your app. Thanks for watching and happy coding.